Charlie kept screaming until she felt somebody shaking her shoulders. Was it reason? She didn't want to open her eyes to find out. Rose. That voice sounded familiar to Charlie, but it couldn't be true because that person was dead. Dead because of her. Rose! She started getting shaken more violently. So much so that it forced her eyes into opening, and she discovered herself back in the challenge shack, Kyre's hands gripping both of her shoulders tightly. They were still surrounded by blue flames, and Charlie felt disoriented and confused. What happened? Kyre asked her. Charlie opened her mouth to explain, but before she could, Amberly suddenly let out an ear-splitting scream. She dropped down to her knees, her face contorted unattractively as she closed her eyes, covered her ears, and kept screaming. Amberly! Trace shouted, rushing to her aid. What the heck is going on? Chaos asked, fishing his crown out of his bag and ungracefully tossing it on his head. You were all dead, Charlie answered, knowing her response wouldn't make any sense to Kyre. But apparently, it did make sense to Kyre. I think reason is getting into their heads, he shouted over Amberly as she continued to screech. Her screeching sounded inhuman. What was it that reason was causing her to see? Trace pulled out her gauntlet and slid it on her arm, probably hoping it would somehow be able to help her. Chaos nodded quickly. I'll try and stop him. He squeezed his eyes shut right in concentration. Amberly! Trace bellowed, looking heavily distressed at the sight of his girlfriend. It didn't seem like the gauntlet was doing anything. Stay with me! It's okay! It's not real! Chaos, hurry! Kyre shouted. Then he started coughing heavily. I'm trying! Chaos replied in a strained voice. Then, out of nowhere, the walls of the shack creaked and groaned violently, and then all four walls around them burst wide open, and the ceiling flew into the sky, away from them all. How is that happening? Kyre asked. Charlie wasn't able to speak because she was trapped inside of her fear. I think it's Amberly, Trace called over. But if Amberly was the one doing this, she seemed to have no idea, for her eyes were still shut tight, and she was still emitting a blood-curdling scream. Then it became clear that it wasn't Reason who had done it. The flames separated and cleared a pathway for Charlie and the others to get to safety. Come on, Chaos demanded, waving the others to follow his lead as he jumped through the opened flames and landed on the other side in a roll. Rose, you go, Kyre instructed. Charlie stood frozen still, so then Kyre took her hand and pulled her along, and the two then jumped out of the flames together. Trace, Chaos called. Amberly, come on! Rose dusted herself off, coughed the last bit of smoke out of her lungs, and waited for Trace and Amberly to emerge from the flames, feeling nervous that they weren't going to come. Then, thankfully, Trace carried a ghostly Amberly through the opening in the flames.